I want to tell you a story. This is a story about me. If you don't want to listen, scroll on. But I do want to explain to you why I advocate the way I do against Yes, No, Oracle, and all of those external validation sources. And it's not just because it's not good for you. It's because it's something I had experience with. So once upon a time, not all that long ago, there was a version of me that sought external validation, that sought answers from outside of herself, that would go into the yes no rooms and do what I lovingly call live hopping, and would listen to collective read after collective read after collective read, and I would look anywhere and everywhere for an answer that wasn't inside of me, that wasn't intuition. Why did I do that? Because I was insecure, because I needed healing, because it was easy. It was the easy way to try to reassure myself. It was easier than sitting down and looking inside and doing the work that needed to be done. Much easier. So one day I went into a room where a person was doing yes, no questions with dowsing rods. Now, if you know anything about dowsing rods, if you've ever used them for even one question, you know how finicky they are. You know how easily they can be moved, and not with energy, with your hand, just from the slightest little motion. They are not in any way, shape, or form reliable. Just so you know, that's a thing. So I went into this room and I asked, am I doing a good job? This bitch told me no. She said, no, you're not doing a good job. You need to try harder. And I realized how fucked up that was. That's crazy. That's wild. Wild. And for you to not even think twice about that being somebody's answer. You don't know who's on the other side asking you this. All right. So after that, I started to wake up to the issues. The issues, slowly but surely, I started to wake up to the issues. I realized that getting all the yeses and the nos for the same question were messing with me. They were keeping me stuck where I was at. And they weren't serving any purpose. They weren't doing me any good. So I decided to stick to one person. She was a bone thrower on here, and she did yes, no. And I would go to her. I would go to her for every yes, no question I had. And I was like, nope, we're cutting everybody else out, because obviously Spirit is telling me to stick to one person since all these other people are giving me. That's not what Spirit was telling me, by the way. So over time, her yes, no answers got inaccurate. And there's a reason behind that. It's because we're not meant to ask yes, no questions. And then I started doing readings. I started doing readings on lives, and I tried very hard to stay away from the yes, no questions because they didn't feel right. And then people would come in and ask questions like, is so-and-so cheating on me? Like, to put somebody in that energy is wild. And then I would get, am I pregnant? Will my pregnancy test tomorrow be positive? Will so-and-so call me tonight? Will I have a date with so-and-so tonight? Guys, think about that. Think about taking the time it takes to hop on a TikTok, to go into a live, to wait your turn to ask a question, and for it to be, can I get a yes, no on something I'm going to find out the answer to in the next 24 hours anyway? Think about that. Think about why you can't just wait for that answer. Think about why you can't just wait for a guaranteed, accurate answer to that question, as opposed to trying to go get some inaccurate answer from multiple readers on a TikTok. What drives you to do that? It's an unhealed version of yourself. It's the need for reassurance. You are trying to calm an anxiety. You're not actually even looking for an answer. If you were, when you got the answer, you wouldn't go to another room. You would be like, okay, cool, done with that, and you would move along, but you don't. You go into the next room and you get a next, because what you are looking for is not the answer. It's for validation. It's for reassurance. It's to calm an anxiety. It's to quell an insecurity. That's what's actually happening. And this is the problem. So once I realized that, I stopped doing yes, no readings altogether. And I realized that what we need to do is wake up to the fact that we are meant to live by our intuition and not by oracle. Along my mentorship through becoming a shaman, I was taught that yes, no oracle is considered disrespectful by spirit, and since have been told by channel that they're not even participating in that. It's not even, they're like, nope, we're not participating in that, because they're not carnival psychics. They're here for real things. They're here for real things like what's my lesson here? What energy am I navigating? How can I navigate? Real guidance, not is so and so going to call me tonight. It's disrespectful to them. That's not the purpose they serve. I may have digressed there. Anyway, to my point, I learned that it was the need for healing that drove us to the Yes No Oracle and the collective reads that also joined the list of things not in our best interest. And since then, they've added AI and they've added mediumship readings. Today I got a new ad, and a lot of people aren't going to like this. I actually don't even like this because I use tarot cards, but tarot cards, you're still seeking external validation by pulling those cards. And while it's not really an issue yet, this will follow the lead with astrology. When astrology changes, tarot will be completely wiped out. But for the time being, I have been instructed to remove tarot from my practice. And eventually it will become just another thing that we seek external validation through that we're not supposed to do. Because we are supposed to learn to listen to our intuition, listen to our internal guidance, and follow that. And that's it. It's as simple as that. Anyway, there's my story. And that's where I'm at now. I don't know what else to say. Bye.